like we're back in the studio. Los Angeles, 1997.
That's a good analogy.
Brett Gurewitz behind the controls. This is Brett. I don't need to tell the truth, but I never lie. I don't need to bow to you. You're just passing by. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you. Get inside my troubled mind with all of your threats. Sometimes I think I was blind. Not before we met. I never wanted to be the one that you depend on for your life. When you cry, it smells like soup. Sound like Shonen Knife. Never before I said all night. I got a ride. Each time I stayed all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night. You're an evil little girl. I'm a twisted man, tearing through your perfect world. Make you understand. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I'll come back to you and do the things you do. Stay all night. I gotta ride. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all. I would never treat you bad. You deserve the best from me. If you want to keep your place, you better get down on yours. Yeah, Todd wrote this one.
Yeah. You think?
This is not mine. Stayed all night, I got a right. Each time I stayed all night, no, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night. R.I.P. Todd.
Text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757 354 5517.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose cross nights and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
throw my praises on the bed. Way overhead, I see the crowd and flashing blue red lights. I'd rather see the crowd than drive some
Good morning on this NFL Championship Sunday, just after 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming to you from the frozen, snowy, icy, rainy, Deep End Broadcasting Network studios in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. I am Stephen Murray. This is the Round Robin, and it is Championship Sunday. Some people argue this is the best day of the NFL season because we get not only one championship game, but we get two. And we get to stretch it out throughout the day. Games starting at 3, anticipation building up until then. We'll be with you for the next few hours talking about both of these games, breaking down every gambling angle possible, rotating some tickets on the screen as we speak. And let us know your best play. Go ahead and sign into your YouTube. Find our broadcast on there and hit the comments section. Let us know what you like today at Deep End Broadcasting on the YouTube. All right, so where do we stand? We have 4 teams left. You can argue that they all have really good defenses. Maybe the Rams not as good as the other 3. We have a backup quarterback scenario in Denver. Yeah, can we start with that? It's like it's the second coming of Patrick Mahomes today. It is Joe Montana reborn. If you listen to all the media hype this week, you think Jarrett Stidham was the gift from God, and that we're just going to be handed a completely stellar effort, flawless effort by Jarrett Stidham today for the Denver Broncos. Yes, the talk all week. All I've heard about is this Jarrett Stidham fellow, an expatriate, and now he is going to step up all day long and all weekend and send the Patriots packing. So we shall discuss that. And then we have the rematch of the Rams and the Seahawks grudge match, rubber match, whatever you want to call it. No holds barred cage match probably is what it will be for these two teams to decide who's going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Look at all these viewers already this morning. Patrick Delano, good morning, sir. Thank you for commenting to let us know who you like today and where you are listening from. We always love to hear these far off places that you're tuning in from today. So let us know that. And yeah, I mean, it's just what do we got? I mean, we have rookie Drake May, a backup quarterback who hasn't played in 3 years. And then on the other side of things, we have Sam Darnold, who's been basically exiled from every team possible, thrown to the scrap heap, only to be another man's treasure. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And then the old faithful and Matthew Stafford. And how will this all shake out here by the end of the day? You never see a number 1 seed as an underdog, rarely here on NFL Championship Sunday. And yet here we are with the Broncos as the underdog. All right, so if you're new to the show, and I do see that we have a lot of viewers, here is the gist of how we operate. We do look to invest the minimum to make the maximum. Winners again last week as well after Wild Card weekend. And that makes it back-to-back weekends in the playoffs. We mentioned how the playoffs all season long are basically our bread and butter, and towards the end of the season as well. So quite on the hot streak we are, and hoping to cash again some other big tickets this afternoon. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We're going to be Patriots heavy. I'm a homer. I can't stand the Broncos from many, many years ago. That should not play into my neutral analysis of this game. And it's not. I'm looking at it from a neutral point. I just don't get how there's so much love for Jared Stidham by everybody. I mean, there's players missing too. I mean, we have a third string center on Denver. And the defense is vulnerable. I mean, they've given up points to teams here in recent weeks. So we'll get to it all. We'll do it with Dave Dolgrande. We'll bring him in from Castro Valley, California. He's our OG of fantasy football, the first ever ESPN employee to do fantasy football. He covers the Golden State Warriors, but has been part of this program for 4 years now. And we'll get his take on both of the games today, as we always do. We'll bring in the Ant-Man later on, and Nephew Dave will tune in as well. We always, at the top of the program, always want to look at weather and line movement as our very first order of business and kind of get that flowing. And yeah, that's our goal today, guys. We're going to try to turn 10 or 20 bucks into 2,000, 4,000, 5,000. And you may laugh at that, but we've had a very, very successful year. The Ant-Man has been really the main one on the huge tear for the better part of the season. He is every bit of, 12-5 winning weekends or something like that, and some big winning weekends at that. Where we won a lot of bigger bets last year, we won a lot of smallish, medium, keep us afloat bets for the good portion of the season after having a big hit in week 3, I think is what it was. And then also starting to clean it up here in the last few weeks, getting some nice bigger chunks of payouts. So again, we look to continue all this today. And, there's some numbers out there that are just so attractable. And it's going to be just almost rinse and repeat of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks here in the playoffs as well. And we're just going to kind of keep going back to the well a little bit. I mean, there's this one ticket on the screen now. As you know, if you're listening, get your pen and paper ready. But maybe if you're touring around on your phone, reading the paper on the back porch or cooking breakfast, maybe screenshot some of this stuff or take a picture of your TV if you're watching on the YouTube TV. But for $100 to win just about $20,000 today. I mean, does this sound like the craziest thing to happen? Really? The Patriots money line, Kayshon Boutte, 5 catches, Travion Henderson, 3 catches, and Travion Henderson for 30 yards receiving. That $100 pays $20,000. So that does not sound like a lot for me to happen in order to get there. You'd be amazing how these guys don't get their catches. You're sitting on 3 or 4 catches and the guy's sitting on 2 and, the quarterback's maybe throwing it at their feet. And then you just never get there. We've been where I've said we've won some nice smallish mediums and then early a big one and then late a big one all season long, one away from huge ticket after huge ticket after huge ticket. Really. Just if something, maybe 3 or 4 things go the other way. And I think that's kind of the luck we had last year as those borderline plays went our way. And that's where we ended up having our huge successes monetarily. But let's hope for some of that today. Let's get there. Let's get home. Let's get everyone some money. All right, so let's take a look at the lines as one of the first orders of business as we try to plan ahead. Obviously, we're coming into you after 9 a.m. We usually start at 7 o'clock on the regular season, so keep a note of that for next year as we stay all morning long with all the games. But with the 2 games today, we started late, and we were going to start at 8 o'clock a.m. Actually, but we did have some havoc in the studio here with computer number 2 going down. I don't know if the store knocked it offline or whatever, but that thing is completely done, and we've had to rig up our audio to play back on another computer. So that took a little bit of time this morning, thus our start time of 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so weather today. And the point spreads as I see them. I see 1, 4, and 43.5. And then I also see a 3.5 and a 43.5. Yes, 3.5, 43.5 in favor of New England. And then also I see a 4 and a 43. And right now we have 10-mile-per-hour winds, 19 degrees, and a 55% chance of snow. So another chance for a snow game here. And that's the thing. Patriots kind of used to this a little bit, the bad weather now in the last few weeks. Denver, not so much so. They've been playing in warmer weather. So you wonder how that may affect them as we go. And then the other game in Seattle, this line has held steady. Seahawks -2.5 and 46, I see. And then I also see Seattle 2.5 and 45.5. So 43.5 is up from 40.5, a full 3 points, and a point overnight where it was at 42.5 yesterday for Denver and New England. So money coming in on the over in that game. And then this game with the Rams and the Seahawks, we've seen the total now drop a full 2 points from 47.5 to 45.5. Interesting is dropping considering how many points they put up in that last Thursday night game that they played. But you got to remember that game was trending under, and then it kind of got off the rails after the Shaheed kickoff return. We started ping-ponging back and forth, and they ended up getting, I don't know, like 30 points in the last 8 minutes of the game or something weird like that, whatever it was. So that game ended up flying over where it looked like it was going to be an under. And it was an under earlier in the season as well. So dropping from 47.5 to 45.5 are the Rams and the Seahawks. All right, so we'll go through everything. We're going to crunch it all. We'll look at 2 touchdown scores, quarterback rush yards, quarterback passing yards, running back receive yards, tight ends, defense, you name it. We'll hit all the ankles, and we'll try to find some great plays at some really good numbers. And again, that's the goal. Let's just win some money today and have some fun. So we got a couple good games on deck. We'll get the Ant-Man and Nephew Dave in here in about 10:30 or so. Excuse me. And then we'll go ahead and pipe up Dave Dolgrande right now. So let me make sure we have the audio ready for this. Usually I got a punch button. We're going to have to do this a little bit of the old school way here. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll go ahead and pipe in our man from Castro Valley, California. I can't say anything's knocked my socks off as far as the new coaches go. Still some voids to fill. I don't know. Anything wet your whistle in terms of new coaches or where you think some guys should go? And, you've kind of said this in the past, so this always rings interesting to me too as well. You got this number 1 draft pick, Cam Ward. You fire his coach, and then you bring in a defensive-minded head coach and Saleh. It just doesn't make sense a little bit at the end of the day. So where do you stand right now on the coaching changes? Job still open? Where do you think guys may go? The one quirky fit I did like is we mentioned it with Detroit, with the old Dolphins coach, McDaniel. He ends up going to another quirky guy in Harbaugh with the Chargers, and I think that fits well. But just kind of sum up everything from your perspective.
Yeah, I'd say generally unexciting.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and you sound like you agree with me that football, in the regular season anyway, it is an entertaining game, and if you're not a good team, and you're to the point where you fire a coach, part of that is entertainment, and you don't want to come back and hire a defensive-minded guy and say, well, we're going to be boring, but we're going to win more games. Well, that's not good. I mean, it's okay if you're a really good team. I mean, if the Ravens, which they did, by the way, go out and hire a defensive-minded guy, well, that's okay because they've proven that just being entertaining isn't getting them where they want to go. They're a good team. Now they need that final piece is they need to be better defensively. And so for them to bring in a defensive-minded guy makes total sense. But like you said, I mean, a team like the Titans, of course, the Raiders haven't made a choice yet. But it's like, you know what? Be entertaining first and then worry about winning. And this is what I like about the Giants, is that the Giants took steps toward being more entertaining this year. I think that league-wide, I mean, I'm in California. I really don't care much about the Giants, but you know what? I'm much more interested in watching Giants games now than I was, 2 years ago. And now they've made a nice hire. I think that they, I would say rank number one in terms of, the coach that they hired. And, he was very, had an entertaining style of football with the Ravens. And now he inherits three really good offensive pieces in New York. I think that, that's a grade A+ as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But some of these other ones, I mean, come on, there's got to be, especially from college football, there's got to be more creative offensive minds. The Cliff Kingsbury types. They're all over the place in college football. You got a young team. You're not going to compete, for anything these next couple of years, probably. At least, first things first, let's get some people interested in your team like the Giants did this year, if the Raiders could take that step these next couple of years to, all right, you're just a 500 team. That's fine. But man, I like what you're doing offensively. And now you got a chance to sign a free agent or two, who, want to come to your team because, wow, this team is throwing the ball all over the park. I like that. So I just, the lack of wow power in the coaching hiring, is what got to me.
All right, reflecting back to last weekend, if there's maybe one narrative that sticks out besides that the games were entertaining, it's the fact that maybe the referees have gone ahead and blown some calls, even though we have the replay assist. And you said it, they're probably in the ear every play of every game, and there's so much we don't hear about it. First of all, maybe they should give us a good, if not a press conference, but a good referee summary from their own perspective of things at the end of the game. That might help things out. To me, it looks like the Buffalo receiver for that brief instance is down. If not that, it's definitely pass interference. If you're going to call it pass interference on the Buffalo player for doing basically the same thing, you need to call it there at least. So I'm going to be a little bit down on these referees. You hate to see them at the last second just kind of botch things up after having a good game. So where do you stand on that? You down on the refs? Not that big of a deal to you? What are you looking at with these guys?
Well, I just think that the way football is being televised these days, that there are so many close calls that we're getting second, third, and fourth looks at from second, third, and fourth angles that we've never had, 10 years ago.
Right. Yep.
And that's going to lead to more controversy. I do like the referee assist thing, and like I've said before, I don't think people realize how much it's used. I mean, for every time that they say that they went to referee assist and they didn't get the first down or they caught the pass or whatever it is, I gotta believe there's 20 other times when they're in the ear.
That's not a shocking revelation that's just happening right there.
I mentioned this last week or the week before, I don't remember which one. But to me, what's fascinating is in the old days, when even on a punt, when the ball went out of bounds, the referee had one mindset, and that is go spot the ball where it went out of bounds. You know, nowadays it's like they punt the ball out of bounds. The referee goes over and retrieves the ball. He doesn't even care where the ball went out of bounds because the guy's going to tell him in his ear, where it went out of bounds. And then he'll walk up and say, oh, yeah, by the way, I saw it right here at the 23. You saw nothing, the guy there told you. And that's fine. I got no problem with that because it's getting the calls right. And so I say that for every one bad call, there's probably 10 good ones that might have been missed, without referee assist. I even like the fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen an interview on this or an article on this or anything, but it seems to me that there are at least 2 NFL employees standing on each sideline. Now, one seems to be attached to the coach, and he's explaining to the coach everything that's happening. So instead of the coach having to run out on the field and yelling, "What's the call?" He's got this referee, this official standing right next to him and telling him they're talking about holding. Looks like 75 was holding. And I like that. It's the communication between the referees and the coaches, I think, is better than ever. The second thing that I see a lot, and I don't know if this is a league employee or whether this is a team employee, but every team seems to have, and I think this comes from college football, by the way, every team seems to have a coach or an official, whatever it is, who's assigned to break up fights or, on the sidelines. You see that when guys run out of bounds, immediately there's a guy who appears to be in an NFL shirt on. Yep. Goes over and he's like, all right, get out, break it up, get out of here, and you don't see, when's the last time you saw a scuffle on the sidelines? These are big games. You'd think it happened, way more than, in the regular season. I don't think it happened once, in the playoffs so far where they're even pushing and shoving, and, kind of the baseball fight. We're pushing it, the bench is empty and nothing happens. Well, you don't even see that anymore. And again, I think that I could be wrong here. I think the NFL has moved, to put a second guy on the sideline, and your responsibility is when the guys go out of bounds, you step between them. You send, you point to the opposing guy and say, get out of here, and I think it's cleaned it up right away. Getting back to, the big call, I don't think there's any question that it was a good call. That, how many times have we heard you have to complete the catch through the ground? And I thought about this, but then, I've read more articles and people have mentioned this, so I won't say this is, my great insight. But if, my point about that catch is if the defender were not involved, if it were just the receiver, he caught it, he hit the ground, he comes up, he doesn't have the ball anymore. It's clear as day that's an incomplete pass. But the fact that there's a defender in there, stealing the ball away, that doesn't change anything. The point is the receiver did not, by rule, catch that ball. And the ball never hit the ground, and the defender has it. He has the ball. Now, was there interference on the play? There's interference on every play in the NFL. And, they could throw, kind of like holding. They can throw a flag on every play. You're not allowed to touch a guy after 5 yards. You watch any pass play in the NFL, I guarantee you one defender is touching an offensive player beyond 5 yards. That's supposed to be a flag. Well, if they threw a flag, the same thinking as holding. They threw a flag on every play, we'd be here for 6 hours marching backwards. So, they're allowing a lot more hand fighting, it seems, than ever before. It seems that defensive guys are being taught that, all right, here's what you need to do. You need to grab the guy's inside arm and pull it down. That way he only has one hand to catch the ball. And the more secretive you are doing it, the better chance you're going to make all pro. And it just seems that everybody's using that same tactic. Sometimes they call it, most times they don't. It's a very, very difficult call. And, I don't, like I said, I don't know what you can do about it other than to throw flags all the time. And that's generally not a good idea.
I'm impressed by just the amount of just really, really good defenses we've had, and even teams that aren't involved anymore. And all four of these defenses are really good. The Rams being the worst of the four, I think. But even then, they're still above average, you got to say, at the end of the day. But, obviously Houston was good. And so forth. Green Bay had a really good defense. Obviously missing Parsons at the end of the day. But just the sheer amount of good defenses, I don't think we've had this many in a while, to me. Or maybe I'm not noticing that correctly. But it just seems like defense generally just up with these top-tier teams. And it's made a difference, really, to where some of these teams are at now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's no coincidence that three really good defenses are involved in the Final Four here. I don't think the Rams belong in that category. But like you said, they're not like they're terrible. But it's I think you see this more and more in all sports. Even in baseball, you're seeing more great catches made in recent years than ever before. In basketball, these 3-and-D guys, the Thompson twins coming into the league, can't shoot a lick, but man, they can shut down the best. Every team now has a couple of them. It just seems that more and more good athletes are playing defense, and I guess that starts in high school. Certainly, it goes on in college. You see a lot of really good defensive teams in college, and Georgia and Alabama, Ohio State. I mean, the same schools seem to produce a whole bunch of them. But it's no real surprise that these guys, these linebackers who run as fast as running backs, instead of having one of them on your team, well, now every one of your middle linebacker, is running to the corner as fast as the other team's running back. Now you've got 4 or 5 defensive backs who are, have got a ton of speed, have different levels of lockdown skills, but better than ever before. Your safeties are much better tacklers than ever. You've got run stoppers, you've got specialists, pass rushers. I mean, it's just every team now seemingly has a bunch of these really good defensive athletes. Now, a team like Seattle has 11 of them, and this is the difference between them and some of these other teams is that where do we attack Seattle? It was even the last game, the 49ers game they were on, and I forget how this came up, but it was like, the 49ers aren't going to run. Think about McCaffrey, an MVP candidate. And the first thing that they talked about before the game was, well, they're not going to run the ball between the tackles because you can't do that against Seattle. And it's like, whoa, okay, well, so much for our best guy, having an impact. I guess we're going to have to throw the ball to him, on the outside. But it's, the sheer number of incredible defensive athletes. I don't think there's ever been a season where we've seen this many good players.
Yeah, you almost feel like that, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever the case may be, it was hard pressed to find any defense. And then somewhere along the college or high school levels, someone says, "Hey, man, you want to make a good paycheck? Be a good defensive player in this ever-changing world of receiving type of football, or whatever the case may be." Yeah, you want to get a good paycheck. Defense is as valuable as ever, and as the old saying goes, defense wins championships. And here we are with the final four.
Absolutely. I remember, and this goes way back, obviously, but when I covered high school football for the local newspaper here, and Jack Del Rio, the former Raiders coach and USC linebacker, he was a dominant force in high school. He could have played any position and done pretty much anything he wanted. But the coach, he only allowed Del Rio to play defense.
Oh, interesting.
And he was a middle linebacker, and he just terrorized. And that team, became really good. But it was like, gee, why, all the other good players in the league play offense. Some of them play both ways. But why doesn't Del Rio play offense? And the coach was like, I want him to put all of his energy into defense because he can dominate the game defensively. And I don't want him on the field every play. And and now, 40 years later, you're seeing this kind of mentality at every level. So that's and like you said, so many of these kids these days are being, even at age 10, are being pointed toward college scholarships or professional play. It's like, well, if you're going to get a scholarship, and look around, you've already got 3 receivers on this team that are better than you. So you should focus on being a defensive back because, look at defensive guys who are playing defensive back right now. You're better than them. And you flip over to the other side of the ball at age 10. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that decision was being made at the college level. Now it's being made at the Pee Wee level. And what's happening? Well, you're seeing more polished defensive players in high school, and then in college, and now in the pros.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but I will, because there's been a little bit of talk about it this week, and these kids have known about it. Maybe some of us older school gamblers that's been slow to catch on. But how much do you know about this Kalshi app in the prediction market that you can play? Zero. Okay. All right.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. So Kalshi is basically, it is a they call themselves a prediction market, but basically it's a sports book. But you can bet on what the commentator may say, or if if they'll bring up the word contract, or if maybe Jared Stidham has a fumble from the center or something like that. There's all kinds of obscure betting angles you can take from a non-traditional sports book. That's all. I was just wondering if you've heard about it. It's interesting. Seems to be a new wave. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. In fact, I thought 10 years ago that we'd be far more advanced in the gambling, televised gambling industry than we are now, and I guess that just speaks to the resistance.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm sure this is available, but like you said, I expected by now that you would have families or groups of people or fraternities, whatever it is, sitting around a TV set with like a video game player, and and on the screen it flashes, will this play be a run? Minus 120. Will this play be a pass? Plus 110. Will there be a fumble? Plus 2,000. And then you click on it, you click on your bet, and then you watch the play, and every play, you got a little action going. And I'm not surprised that, the next level of that would be, will the broadcaster mention the quarterback's name before the ball is snapped? Yes, minus 120, no, even money, and so, but, I think that's kind of the next step. First, you got to get these people in front of the TV set with this, with their remote in their hand, and the open checkbook, the tab running, and then once you get there, then this Hayashi or whatever you call it.
Kalashi, yeah.
Then that has a chance to become more popular. I think it will. I think it's it's kind of like in some ways, an NCAA tournament pool that you don't need to know anything about the game, about the sport. You just pick teams by color. You got as good a chance as anybody else. But it gets people involved who don't know anything about football. What do you think? You think he's going to mention whatever? You think your quarterback's going to say Omaha? Before the ball is snapped, -120 for yes, and +110 for no. I heard him say that last time. And this is Manning. He always says that. So yes, take yes. You don't know anything about football, but you're like, come on, bet the house. Yes, he's going to say. He always says it. It'll eventually. I think it'll bring more eyes to the TV set, which I think is good for the game. I don't care why they're watching the game. Advertisers just count the number of people who are watching. And if that's what it takes, well, then bring it on.
Like one example would be our announcer is going to mention the Patriots' week schedule over the season, and that's -140. You got to think they're going to bring that up at some point, right? These kids went famous for posting this too as well. But God, why am I forgetting her name? Who's the Caitlin Clark adversary? The Chicago
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese. Yeah.
They would bet against her missing her first basket, and they went on some phenomenal run of her missing her first basket, and they're putting like $10,000 on it. But I think go ahead.
No, I'm going to say they've got to be careful, like you mentioned. Well, they mentioned the Patriots' week schedule. Well, what constitutes that?
Exactly. That's the gray area.
If they said, well, certainly an advantage the Broncos have here today is they played a stronger schedule than the Patriots. Does that count? Saying that the Patriots play a weak schedule? There's obviously there's certain things that like the Angel Reese thing that you said. And this is cut and dried. Either she makes their first shot or she misses it. There's no disputing this. But some of these other things you can take them a little too far, get yourself in trouble.
I think you can even type in what you want to bet, and they'll come up with a line for you, which is kind of interesting. Okay, let's get to our games. You might just have a pick or two, but I'll even run down some extra numbers, see if I can entice you. Maybe you can just say, all right, yeah, slight lean to that, or whatever the case may be. We'll start with the first game, 3:00 Eastern. And I'm at risk. I'm going to be sounding like a homer when I make this. But trust me, everybody out there, I'm going to come to you from the complete neutral gambler perspective in regards to everything that I've been hearing this week. Which, you got to be careful what you're listening to as well. As I saw some guy on the internet this morning, and I don't know if this is by plan or not, but he declares that the Patriots are taking all the action this week, where that is furthest from the case. Denver is getting the majority of the bets at the moment. From everything that I've looked into, I've heard nothing but Denver love all week. I've heard how Jared Stidham's going to get plugged right in for Bo Nix like it's no big deal. It's going to be easy going. He's going to come out and shock the world. Not like he didn't have an opportunity to maybe come in and do that. Russell Wilson was thinking up the joint all last season. We never saw him. So you can't really be knocking the socks off everybody all the time if you can't even find his way onto the field. If the quarterback ahead of him is struggling at times, he's had limited opportunities. The 4 starts? He beat the 49ers. I think that's his most notable deal. He is an ex-Patriot. Everyone's making a big deal about this point spread going up to 5.5 and then 4.5, and oh, it's just way too much. Where in my eyes, that's less than a touchdown. Still, I mean, that's within one score. It's not like you're asking the world of the Patriots to cover this number. I get it. Denver's a house of horror for the Patriots over the years. You can declare that Patriots rookie left side to be their vulnerable mark. And yeah, they are. Well, I think they know that. And all the more reason why you might get some more rollouts here for Drake May. And Denver is actually really bad against the rolling out quarterback. Look what Marcus Mariota did to him on that Sunday night game. And you know what? I think some of these people touting Denver are forgetting the fact that they're down to their third string center. And yes, if there was a prop for a center to quarterback exchange fumble at a nice plus price, that might be something I'm actually interested in. I don't get the exact love for the Broncos here. I get it. They have a nice defense. I just don't think you plug and play Jared Stidham just like everyone else is saying that you do, and it's all going to be just fine. In the wild card game, perhaps, maybe not in the AFC Championship game. The Patriots are going to have too much offense for this. Not to mention the receiver issues for Denver. I mean, that one, they don't use their tight ends at all. Maybe Stidham will try to change that. They have Bryant hurt. He's highly questionable. We don't think he'll be back, although he's listed right now. Franklin, he has his injuries. So I just don't know where Denver goes offensively. What, you going to bring Dobbins back and hand it to him a million times? We've seen what the Patriots have done against elite running backs in this league. And one can argue, I mean, that after the last 2 weeks and watching the Patriots defense play, that maybe they are the number one defense overall themselves. Obviously, Seattle has something to say about that in Denver in this game as well. I just don't get the love for Denver. I've heard nobody taking the Patriots in this game. It's all Denver. I don't get the backup quarterback. I'll lay a ton of points here. I think this is an alt-line galore scenario type of deal for New England. I think they'll cause turnovers. I think that their running game is going to be superior to the Denver running game. And it will be. Denver's not the greatest at stopping the run. And then they'll pick their spots through the air. I don't think you're going to have to ask Drake May to try to win this thing completely on his shoulders. This is not that type of deal. So I think the Patriots do just fine. I think Denver struggles. And honestly, I don't think this is much of a football contest to me. So Patriots win, and I think they win by multiple scores. So what do you got in this game?
No, I mean, I agree with you. And I think I think this game would be very competitive if Knicks were playing. But he's not. And the drop off from a guy who's played every game to a guy who hasn't played at all. I mean, this isn't like you aren't the Falcons. You don't have this veteran guy on mothballs who you can throw in there, give him a week of practice, and be confident that you're, maybe not as good, but close to as good as you were before. I mean, we even saw the Colts kind of go through this when they lost their quarterback, Jones,
right.
And they brought in their guy who hadn't played at all, thinking, we'll just, we won't lose a step. Well, they became terrible, so bad overnight that they went out and signed a guy off the street who's 44 years old, just because they could trust him with a week of practice to come in and not screw up. Well, this is where we are with Denver. I mean, I fully expect this guy to screw up. I mean, like you said, this isn't a wild card game. Heck, this isn't a regular season game where you could try something like this, maybe get away with it. Probably not, even then. But this is the AFC Championship game. And I think it's crazy to believe that this guy's going to go in there and this team isn't going to lose a beat. I mean, I got to believe there's a 7-point difference with him being in there or him not being in there. And like I said, going in, I would have thought this game would be very even. But yeah, I mean, I don't see how New England doesn't win this game by a touchdown. They've been incredibly consistent all season long. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not the greatest defensive team. They're good defensively, not great. But against a backup quarterback, you probably could call them great. I don't know. I mean, it's just an unfortunate thing for Denver that this has happened. But the only fortunate aspect of it is it didn't happen 6 minutes into the first quarter where the guy comes in completely cold.
Right.
At least he's had a week
Right.
to prepare. And they can go over a game plan because New England is vulnerable in a couple of weird areas. If you look at the stats, whereas Denver's not vulnerable anywhere. If you just study the core stats of this game, you see that Denver is really good, above average in every single category in terms of good against quarterbacks, good against running backs, good against wide receivers, good against tight ends. Whereas New England gave up the most rushing yards to wide receivers in the entire league. New England gave up the 5th most catches to running backs in the entire league. Now, again, these are two crazy categories that aren't necessarily going to help you win games, but I think can help you win a bet. And when you don't have, by the way, I think Bryant's fine. I think Bryant's going to play this week.
Okay.
But Franklin, I don't think Franklin's going to play. I mean, he hasn't been practicing, but Bryant's been back at practice. But with your backup quarterback in there, you got to get away from the standard. Well, this is what we've done all year. If we can sneak a couple of Mims runs around the end, that other teams have had success doing this. If we can throw the ball to our backs instead of running the ball against this team, problem is I'm not sure Denver's got any real good pass catching backs. I mean, I think they'll try, with this guy. I mean, what happens when you bring in a young quarterback? Well, you shorten the patterns. He throws to the tight ends. He swings the ball to the back. Some back is going to catch passes in this game. I'm just not sure which one it is. I'll tell you which receiver is going to run the ball, and that's going to be Mims, because he and Franklin are the only Denver receivers who ran the ball all season, and Franklin's not in there. So, we know Mims, he's a great kick returner. He's the kind of guy you want running, these types of plays. So, I'm hoping that, in terms of receiving, in terms of receiving rushing yards, that, you can get a price on Mims, and that it's one of these ones where, 4.5, and where all he has to do is carry the ball one time and get over the number. Because I think he's going to carry the ball 2 or 3 times in this game.
Mims is 2.5 plus 106 for 5
There we
yards.
go.
5 yards plus 148.
Well, I'll go out on a limb here and say he will carry the ball at least twice in this game. Like I said, when you've got to shorten the playbook when you've got your backup. You don't want you've got a great defense. You don't want this young quarterback to go in and screw things up. So what do? You turn real conservative. Well, unfortunately, you can't run the ball against New England. You're not just going to run the ball up the middle. Your running game is not good to start with, and their run defense is great. Well, okay, that's out of the equation. So now what are we going to do? Well, normally we spread the ball out. We've got these great receivers running down the field. Well, we're without one of them, and we got this young quarterback in there, and we don't want to play giveaway. We don't throw the ball to our tight end a whole lot, which I don't really understand, but they don't. And so what are we going to do? Well, let's throw some, screen passes and swing the ball to the back and throw some wide receiver screens, which is another play Mims, does a lot. But like I said, so what you do is, you throw the ball to the backs more. You run your jet sweep with your fastest receiver a couple of times. And I think that you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see it right off the bat. You know, to see them try to stretch the defense with a, the only problem is if the quarterback throws the ball forward to Mims and he runs around the end. Well, then it doesn't count as a rushing attempt. So that I like I said, I don't see this being a particularly high scoring game. I think Denver's defense is really good. And you got to remember that New England's quarterback, he's good, but he's young, and this is a tough place to play. And so, I wouldn't necessarily expect him to have his best game. Like I said, Denver is really good on defense. So I think New England's going to have to try to run the ball in this game, which they can. And I don't know how Denver counters. I think this game's going to be 17-13, low scoring, but I do think New England will win this game.
I'll say this about May. I think it helps for sure that they've lost 2 playoff games, or they won 2 playoff games, and they haven't looked good on offense. I think that bodes well potentially for the future. If not this game, then maybe even the next game, that they can somehow, all right, we played 3 games. Let's break our offense out. Well, we know what we're dealing with at this point, with this top quality football that's being played. I don't know. Maybe there's some learning curve there for them, to where they're going to put it all together offensively in one of these next 2 games, perhaps.
Well, to me, the biggest concern is being on the road. And I don't think, I could be wrong about this, I don't think the Denver Stadium gets enough respect. Denver's one of the toughest places.
Yeah, it's a hard place to play. I think so.
Yes. Seattle gets all the credit for being the toughest place to play. But Denver's right up there with Seattle. Right. And then you got the altitude thing, and it's always cold. Well, of course, that shouldn't affect New England that much. But New England is not, they're not a risk-taking offensive team. They play smart. They run it. They throw it short. They got a variety of receivers. They don't take a lot of chances. The quarterback's been great in this offense. I don't really see, their offense necessarily being hurt by playing at Denver. Certainly not going to help. But that, to me, is kind of a wild card. Like you said, New England hasn't played great in the playoffs so far. And this is they've been at home. That's where they're supposed to do well. This is a tough spot. That's why I don't think they're going to blow out Denver. I just don't see how they score a ton of points in this game without Denver giving them a lot of help. Now, that's possible with this quarterback. That door is wide open. But the longer Denver can stay in the game, by playing conservatively, by not giving the ball away, and one other thing that New England, we're not going to. My favorite play in recent weeks, the quarterback rushing yards. It won't necessarily come into play in either one of these games because none of these defenses has been vulnerable to that. But Stidham, carried the ball 175 times in his 2 years at Auburn. So he's going to run the ball. No doubt they've instructed him, don't throw the ball into a crowd, just tuck it under, get 3 yards, and we'll punt it. I'm not going to be surprised to see him at the end of the day with at least 8 carries. Now, it may only go for 12 yards. I'm not saying he's going to rush for 50 yards, but he is a guy, he's not a statue. 175 rushes 2 years in college, at Auburn. So he's got that potential. And like I said, I'm looking for odd ways that either one of these teams is going to be able to move the ball. I can't identify how that's going to happen with New England, but there's 3 ways that Denver, 3 doors that are open Number one is running backs catching the ball. Number two is wide receivers running the ball. And number three, the quarterback running the ball, not because New England's vulnerable, but because the quarterback can do that. So those are three recommendations that that I would have in this game. And you already mentioned that Mims, his rushing total. I mean, they're basically telling you he won't rush the ball in this game. 2.5 yards. I mean, if he carries the ball one time, it's going for more than 2.5 yards. So I think he's going to. I think he's going to rush the ball twice in this game at least. And I think that to me is is a playable line.
What number would you take him up to 15 or 20 yards even on an all line? At a big number?
Well, I mean, only because as opposed to, other weeks when we've talked, when there's been 16 games or, 7 games,
right.
Like the first weekend of the playoffs or even last week, 4 games, we can find 10 other things to play that are better than this. There's only 2 games here, and both of these games are kind of tough to call. And so I would say that, this is going to be one of the options in this game is to, it may be, and when all said and done, it may be the best long shot play of either game. So sure, I would say, well, I mean, depending on what the number is, I think 15 yards is a very safe number because he could get that on one carry, and because that's the worry is he's just going to carry the ball one time. Then you don't want to go 20 or 25 yards, and then that what chance he's going to do that on one carry. But 15, you know what? I think he can get there with one carry. I do think he's going to carry the ball twice, though, at least. So, at a nice price, I would take I'd take 15 yards.
Plus 470 for 15 yards. Is the price there?
That's ahead of our greedy ticket.
13.5 is the Stidham rushing yards. The only running back I have for Denver is Harvey at 19.5 for his receive yards. I'll say that on the flip side, and I think McDaniels is a really good X factor. And Travion Henderson's been missing out of this receiving game. I'm hard pressed to think he's not going to show up at some point. And he's just at 5.5 yards. He was low last week at 4.5. And I think he got a couple of receptions and he just got held at the goal line. So I don't even think he got it. If he did, he barely got it. But at 5.5, I think I would have to take a chance there again.
Makes sense to me. Like I said, I think New England. I think New England's going to. New England always does. New England always moves the ball well. Problem is they have too many options. Just when you think, hey, they're throwing the ball a lot to Henry, they don't throw to him at all last week. And when you think Stevenson, oh man, he's getting all the carries, and next thing you know, it's Henderson pops the 2 big ones. So that they'll find a way to move the ball, but I have a feeling it's going to be their usual 20 yards for this guy, 30 yards for this guy, 40 yards for this guy. But we add it all up, we only got 250 yards, so nothing crazy. But somebody's going to do it. I can't identify that person. So
they're interesting. You think they have nothing, but then they have all the guys are on the same level, which makes them all opportunable, I guess, is maybe what it is. You got like even Austin Hooper at 9.5. That's just a catch for him. If he can just get that one. Demario Douglas at 15.5 looks pretty cheap. Yeah,
he's a guy that when he's healthy, he tends to do things. You've mentioned him before, and you've almost always been right about him. And he's because you remember Denver's got one of the top cornerbacks too, and what are they going to do with him? Are they going to put him on one guy, or are they just going to put him over there on the right side of the offense and pick up who's
It's
ever
got to
over
be
there.
Booty and Diggs. He's got to go back and forth
Yeah,
between
exactly.
them two.
I mean, that's the thing. I would guess he's going to shadow Diggs. I mean, you got to take him out of the game. He's so important to their, moving the chains. Booty catches long passes and catches touchdowns, and that's of course important. But you don't get in the position to score without Diggs making those third down catches, and you can knock those passes away. You get a punt along, before you get the touchdown. So but if he's guarding Diggs, then that all the more reason for Douglas to do better than expected.
All right. Let's look at a couple other props, see if I can just get you to lean one way or another. Jared Stidham, 198.5 passing yards. I got to think under.
I absolutely.
Okay.
That's crazy. It should be that should be 140.
Drake May's 223.5. That's probably about right. I'm not going to go over or under on that.
Well, that will come down to what is Denver doing offensively.
Right.
If Denver's really struggling offensively, then why is New England throwing?
Yeah, they're going to be running all day.
And if if New England gets up 7-0 in this game and Denver's 3 and out, well, then New England's definitely not throwing the ball. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, they'll play conservatively if they have the lead. Every team likes to say that, but few teams have two good running backs like New England. New England can play that game. They doesn't matter which running back's on the field. They've got the capability of churning the clock with their running game. So they get a lead. I expect them to play conservatively. And that's an awfully high number even for May.
Stevenson, 49.5. That's attractive with everything we just said.
Well, again, if you envision the game, happening the way that I do, and it sounds like kind of you do, where Denver's going to struggle offensively, then and you can count on New England to run the ball, 20, 25, 30 times. Then each guy's got a really good chance of getting 50 yards.
Yep. Don't stress out Drake May if you don't have to. I mean, that's going to be the deal. All right, let's look at some touchdown scores. I like this perhaps. So they give me a risk-free $100 bet again, and I can do 100 to win 4,500 if I take one touchdown by Stevenson, one touchdown by Henderson, and take them both for 15 yards receiving.
I don't know about the receiving part. I don't know their season averages or what have you. They don't sound like, they don't seem to be good pass catchers, but 15 yards is certainly reasonable. But for each of them to score a touchdown, that's definitely reasonable.
Stevenson's been very good at his receiving prop here in the last 8 weeks. Not last week. Henderson's been kind of missing where he was doing better the first half of the season when they were using him. So that's it. You would just hope they would culminate all their experience from one season into one game, maybe, and again have that, just nice offensive output or the safe offensive output is what it would be going against this Denver defense. So an attractive bet, but yes, both of them just for one touchdown together is not quite 7-1. That way you just add on those 15 cheesy yards on each one of them. I mean, all they got to do is run across your backyard, for crying out loud, catching the ball one time. You would think it would be easy, but it never seems to be. So that's the difference there. 700 to 4,500. It's just getting those 30 combined receiving yards.
Careful now. I live in California. I can't afford that size backyard.
Let's see. Other touchdowns. Drake May plus 280. What's happened to Cortland Sutton, do you think? He just seems like he's disappeared here the last 6 weeks or so, or maybe even just the better part of this season. He had such a good good year last year, and not so much this year, right?
Absolutely. Been a big disappointment
Yeah.
this year. But I think a big part of that is they've got a nice core of receivers now. I mean, there was a while there where Franklin, really looked like he was, taking that next step into, stardom, catching touchdown passes basically every week. But then even he died off, as Bryant all of a sudden, it was like they changed uniforms. Well, wait a minute. This was Franklin catching all these passes for 4 weeks in a row. Now they're throwing all these same passes to Bryant, and he's catching all these passes. And oh, by the way, yeah, we're mixing Mims. So it's almost like Green Bay. I thought, Reed was their top receiver. Well, he used to be, but now they got Dobbs. Now they got Watson. Now they got the rookie guy. And it's, and I don't know that it's anything necessarily negative about Sutton. It's just that, hey, you're drawing a lot of coverage. You're considered our number one guy. They're all over you. Meanwhile, I got these gazelles running 40 yards down the field, and I love to throw the ball deep. So, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and throw the ball down the field to Bryant on this play or to Franklin on this play. So you would think in this kind of game, the quarterback would play conservatively. You wouldn't throw as many deep passes. You would throw to your most trustworthy guy, which would be Sutton. So maybe you catch him at a low price because he hasn't been doing much. But, I don't know. It just hasn't happened. And so I don't know. I don't want to take that risk.
My most likely candidate for 2 touchdowns would be Ramondre Stevenson at 9-1. Who would be your most likely?
Yeah, I'll go with May. Just because he's for a while there, he was scoring a lot of touchdowns. And Denver's that type of team that you get down inside the red zone, inside the 10. You know what? We're not going to let them run it up the middle against us and get a touchdown. And okay, well, in that case, we'll just fake it and
Right.
I'll run around the end myself. And so I can see him getting a touchdown in this game. I don't see anybody getting 2 touchdowns. Like I said,
Right.
I see 17-13 game that might only have 3 total touchdowns. If I had to pick one and the price looks right, I'll take a shot with May.
30-1. Maybe a little interesting that Denver's 80-1 for their defense to score 2, and New England's actually more of a favorite at 70-1. Here's another odd one I'll throw at you, and we'll go to the next game. And you might have a no play here on this. But my man, let's see. On defense, and it is player alternate sacks. I can get my man Kayleon Chason at over 1.75 sacks plus 580. So 6-1 for 2 sacks by Chason. I'm going to play that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, especially if Denver's behind. I mean, I can see early on in the game where they, he's getting rid of the ball. They're throwing a lot of short passes. But at some point, if you're behind by 10 points, you're going to have to throw the ball down the field more. You hold it longer. And, bang, you get sacked because you can't find the guy down the field. Push comes to shove. You got a backup quarterback in there. They're not going to find the receivers as well as your starting quarterback, and that's got to be good for sack guys.
Stidham for 2 interceptions plus 235. 3 interceptions is plus 640. Drake May to throw 1 interception is at let's see here. I got to go somewhere else for the ones. He's plus 520 for 2, 14-1 for 3. And I want to get the regular interceptions. I think Stidham's good for one of those. Oh, I was telling everyone in the house last week, bet this CJ Stroud guy live to throw an interception. Everyone got on their phone, and within 5 minutes, he threw an interception. Stidham for 1 interception minus 176. Drake May plus 110. Stidham throws 1 pick anyway. I will not doubt if he throws 2.
Yeah. I mean, they can play conservatively. Even still, you would think he would have 1 interception. Yes, and 176. That's a high price, but yeah, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Right. All right, let's get to the next game. The Rams and the Seahawks minus 2.5. All right, so you like the Patriots in a lower scoring game. Patriots for me as well. No opinion on the total. If it goes over, it's going to be a bloodbath by New England. That's all I'll say. Rams and Seahawks. Seahawks minus 2.5, 46.5. I'm going to go with my gut here. And I've said it here a little bit during the playoffs with you that just McVay wants me to, I want to pull my hair out when he's coaching sometimes. And I kind of got some of that again last week in this game against the Bears where either team could really have won. You said it earlier in this interview, the Seahawks probably have the best defense in the league. And if that's the case, I think that cancels out the Rams offense and the Rams offense as of late a little bit. I mean, if Carolina can go nip and tuck with the Rams, the Bears can go nip and tuck with the Rams. Seattle should be able to beat the Rams here again in this third matchup of the season that they're now having. Now, I get it. There's familiarity. McVay knows these guys well. We saw what Puka did in that last game. But we got to remember, this last game that got super crazy, 38-37, happened really late. That game was kind of trending to be an under type of game for about 3.5 quarters. The next thing you know, everything kind of exploded through the roof. I think the defense matters here. Like we said it, defense wins championships. The Seattle defense is better than the Rams defense. Most of the picks I've heard this week are people taking the Rams. And I'm not so sure it isn't this coach's time. They got a good coach, McDonald, up there for Seattle. Darnold, getting over his lumps of a career that he's had to endure to finally find some success. Getting booted off Minnesota. You think Minnesota wants to have Darnold back after the season? So give me the Seahawks here. It's not an upset because they're the favorite, but I feel like it is because most of the people want the Rams. They're just going to have the better defense here. They're the home team. Special teams is going to be all the difference in the world in this game. I mean, if there is one declarative difference, Seattle have the second-ranked special teams in the league, and the Rams are close to the bottom. I mean, that's a third of the game at this point. Stafford's good. We know what Nakua did. Buyer beware on the Rams here. I like the Seahawks to win this game. Probably is a closer game. But you know what? If they won by 10 points at the end, maybe that won't shock me. Walker, I have no doubt, probably has a really good game. He's been on fire. He's as hot as any player in the league. And where, a lot of people might be leaning with Puka here. And maybe for him to 2 touchdowns or his props, is Jackson Smith. I think we see him all day in this game. So give me the Seahawks. I'll buck the trend of what everyone's thinking with the Rams here, and I'll take the home team. What do you like?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. Like you said, there's a lot of familiarity here. And you're right. I mean, the big difference in this game is Seattle's defense is just way better than the Rams' defense. Now, the Rams' offense is better than Seattle's offense, but Seattle has quietly put together a nice offense. And when Darnold gets time, he can be a very effective quarterback. Now, losing Charbonnet, to me, is the big question mark here, because you're right that you would think, well, that just means Walker's going to carry the ball all the time. Well, he's not really that type of back. I mean, he's not a big back, and they really don't have a backup. I mean, the talk is that this guy's been on injured reserve all year, Holani, that they're going to bring him in, and he's going to be the backup. I mean, he's not going to carry the ball at all. And so you've got a smaller back who's had success in smaller numbers. Now you're going to ask him to carry the ball 15 times in this game. And that just, I think that opens the door for a turnover, for some kind of fumble as the game goes along. Whereas, the Rams don't do that. I mean, the Rams have a similar back in Williams, but they don't do that to him. They run Corum out there for half the game, sometimes too much, it seems.
Right.
But, it keeps them both fresh. If this game comes down to the fourth quarter, one team's going to have fresh running backs and the other team isn't. And that could make a difference.
Right. Good point.
Especially in terms of, a turnover. But that said, and we talked about this in the Denver game, if Denver's not the toughest place to play in the league, then certainly Seattle is. I don't care how many times you've played there before. The 49ers just went up there to play. We've been there, done that. We play there every year, and then you get up there, and all of a sudden you can't hear the signals from the sidelines, and you're wasting time out, and just, you're jumping offside. And you never get used to that kind of crowd noise and what have you. I think it's a big advantage. You also mentioned special teams, which is a big advantage for Seattle. So in what I would consider to be a close game, I think Seattle's got edges in kind of the periphery areas that could make a difference in this game. And then if it comes down to the end, and you need to drive the length of the field to win this game or to tie it up or whatever, I'd rather be going against the Rams defense than be going against Seattle's defense. I'll tell you that. And so I'll take the Seattle to win a close game. I think it'll be higher scoring than the morning game out here anyway. I'll go 27-24 in this game. For Seattle, I do think the Rams got a chance. But I think Seattle, they just, for the last 8 weeks, they've looked like the best team in the league. And kind of like New England, pretty much for the whole season, has looked like the best team in the AFC. Seattle, maybe not at the beginning of the year, but certainly the second half of the season, to me, has looked like the best team. And then you get home field advantage on top of that. So it's not a surprise to me that they're here. It's not a surprise to me that they're favored in this game. It will be no surprise to me if they march on and play again next week, or 2 weeks, or whatever it is. So I'll take Seattle in this game, 27-24.
All right, we both got Seattle and New England in the Super Bowl. Rematch of the Marshawn Lynch should have been given a handoff Super Bowl, whichever one that was.
Don't get me started on that.
Listen to some of these numbers on some of these touchdown guys. Now, if we think that there's going to be points, we might as well spread it around a little bit on some of these longer shots, because we did see in this Bills-Denver game last week all kinds of long shot guys score touchdowns. Kupp starts at plus 290. Corum's at 3-1. That's still good for him. I mean, this isn't even crazy yet. Parkinson's plus 320. Shaheed's plus 360. And some books didn't credit Rashid with an anytime touchdown on the kickoff return last week. Did you hear about any of that?
No, but why? What
yeah.
are you thinking?
Yeah.
What about anytime?
That means anytime, correct? Right, right.
What had happened in the pregame?
They credited defense and special teams. If it's worded that way. special teams got credited. Which
no.
that's a joke to me. I agree. Higbee's plus 550. Terrence Ferguson 6-1. Seattle defense plus 650. Whittington's plus 950. There's George Holani at plus 950. Mupfield 16-1. Davis Allen 20-1. Jake Bobo 20-1. Tutu Atwell 22-1. I mean, you just have a bunch of long shots on here. It wouldn't hurt to maybe take a couple of $5 bets and throw 2 or 3 of these guys on the ticket is all. If we're going to have points here. Agreed?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, as opposed to the first game where you can throw darts and good luck because there might only be 3 touchdowns scored. My score has 6 touchdowns scored. So yeah, you can throw darts and you can hit, 3 or 4 guys, in which case, you're going to have this was a very good idea. So yeah, I mean, I do think that that both of these teams have the ability to spread the ball around to a bunch of guys. And once this is the 3rd time they're playing each other. We talked about this last week in the 49er game against Seattle, where they were playing each other for the 3rd time. You're not going to do the same thing that you did the first 2 times. You're going to spend this week trying to come up with stuff that they've never seen before. And chances are those things are going to involve, surprise players. And so all the more reason to take a couple stabs in the dark at some of these prices that you mentioned.
All right. Let's see here. Passing props. Darnold's 231.5. Stafford's 253.5. Opinions there?
Well, those numbers are high, but I wouldn't take under.
All right.
I know. I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And again, we talked about this in the earlier game. A lot will depend upon what happens on the very first drive or two. If the first team that has the ball marches down the field, throwing the ball, and goes up 7-0, well, guess what? The other team's coming back and they're throwing the ball, and we could get the shootout where each quarterback throws for 275. The New England game we talked about. New England scores and then they hold Denver the first time. Well, then New England may not throw another pass the entire game because they don't have to. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see if I took the 2 quarterback numbers over. I'd like to see that very first drive of the game end up with either team with a touchdown, and that way I feel much more comfortable that this is this is going to be a shootout.
Maybe not the worst angle to approach this one live betting, to be honest, in that regard. All right.
No, the problem is that that if that first score is a touchdown, then then the total on the game will probably go up, and maybe you cost yourself a couple of points there. But yeah, I do think that even if it's just 3-4 plays into the game where you see, okay, Seattle's got the ball first, and remember, Seattle doesn't have their plow horse running back. They do have this breakaway threat who's going to be getting the ball much more often. So it's much more likely that they're going to get big chunk plays out of the speed ball than against than the other guy. So Seattle comes right out, and the first play they pass for 15. The next play they run for 10. The next play they pass for 15. Like, okay, I don't need to wait for the touchdown. I like the way this game is going. Give me the over right now, and before the price gets jacked up.
All right, if I'm going to parlay, or if I'm going to take Mims for 15 yards, got to parlay him to Nakua and or Shaheed. Both of those guys are 4.5 baseline.
Okay, there. As I mentioned that first game, that there were these 2 oddball stats that stood out. In this game, there's 3 of them, and 2 of them happen to be the very same thing, and that is these are 2 of the worst teams in the league, and with New England being a third one, at defending passes to running backs. In fact, Seattle allowed the most catches by running backs of any team, and wasn't even close. This is the way you attack Seattle. You can't run the ball up the middle on them, and so you got to do everything on the flank. And so, yeah, you can run the ball out there, but it's easier a lot of times just to swing the ball out there with your veteran quarterback. Kyren Williams had 6 targets last time they played Seattle. I think we're headed down that same road again. He's clearly their top receiving back, among 2 backs that play about the same amount of time. So I think he's going to get a lot of passes thrown to him. The Rams allowed the 6th most targets, to running backs this year. The problem is Seattle doesn't throw the ball a lot to their backs. And this is where a real long shot. I mentioned this guy, George Halani, who is going to be he's going to be the guy that spells Walker. And Walker is, like I said, he's small. If he happens to get injured in this game, Halani's going to be the guy that goes in there. And he's much more of a pass catcher than he is a runner. He had 88 catches. I looked this up, 88 catches in his career at Boise State. And so, which isn't a ton, but does demonstrate, he can catch the ball. And he's going to be in there. He's going to be in there. Like I said, you can't play Walker the entire game. And so he'd be a guy who, if they put a number on him, I doubt you'll see it, but maybe, who knows? They put a number on him to catch a pass, 4.5 yards receiving or whatever it is. I think he'd be a nice play. The other oddball stat is that this is really oddball, that the Rams allowed the 2nd most rushing yards to tight ends. This is going to be one of those games where, like I said, these guys know each other. What wrinkle can we throw in there to get, that they haven't seen yet? And Barner, for a tight end, is a good athlete. I mean, if you're going to run a tight end on a trick play, or even, throw him in there on, a tush push kind of play, he's the kind of, he can get around the corner.
Yeah, he's been doing that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a wide receiver, you carrying the ball around the end. And again, the Rams have been vulnerable to this. And Barner seems to be the type of guy. He did have 10 carries during the season. Seems to be the type of guy who's logical that they would use him in that kind of situation. So again, I'm looking at 3 oddball things. I want Kyren Williams receiving yards. I want George Halani, receiving yards, and I'll take Barner's rushing yards in this game.
All right, nothing on Barner rushing right now. Nothing on Halani receiving right now. Kyren Williams is at 13.5, and I was begging for him on his receptions in that last game because I remember I was 1 catch away from a big payday. And Kenneth Walker did catch a 47-yard ball right out of the gates against the Rams, if you remember that. Screen pass, and he took it all the way down inside the 5-yard line.
Well, that's the kind of back he is.
Yep.
So that doesn't surprise me. Williams is that kind of back too.
Yep.
It's just that in this particular game, he's going to be on the field about half as much as Walker is.
Right.
That'll be good for the Rams, I think. Come at the end of a close game. But in terms of getting numbers, you certainly think Walker would get the better of the numbers in this game. But 13.5 receiving yards. Remember, 6 targets last time they played. Seattle allowed the most receptions to running backs all year. I mean, so this is a way teams have attacked them. This is a way the Rams have attacked them. That's, to me, the best number I've heard for the whole weekend.
Right. You would even think that you would have more opportunities in this game than even past, just because the stakes are higher. You're that extra more careful. Total receptions for, let's see here. Total receptions for Kyren Williams is at, over 2.5 is plus 114.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the total is only 13.5, it can't be 3.5.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I like the 13.5 better than the 2.5, but I think 2.5 is too low as well.
Right. Okay. Who's your player most likely to get 2 touchdowns in this game?
Well, I think you could, normally I'd say, well, let's look at the winning team. It's probably coming from them, but, if Charbonnet were playing, I might go with him. But this is kind of a cop-out, but I guess I got to go with Nacua. Just because he's going to be the receiver in this game, you would think, who gets the most touches. I think it's going to be a lot of passing in this game. And when push comes to shove with these running backs, you got Walker, who's going to get a lot more opportunities than Williams, but Williams does score touchdowns. But in the end, they're both kind of smallish backs that I wouldn't necessarily trust in a game like this by the goal line. I think they're much more likely to fake it and throw the ball to both these teams have trustworthy tight ends. Both these teams have trustworthy goal line guys, whether it's Adams or Cup, Barner, Parkinson. I mean, all these guys are good around the goal line. So I'm going to, bail out here and say, give me Nacua for the 2 touchdowns, but that's probably not even a price worth talking about.
Plus 850. It is amazing how as good
plus
as
850. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it would be like plus 350. I mean, 850 is worth taking for, the best player on the field, 2 touchdowns and a high scoring game. With neither team having, it's not like either team's got this running back, Henry or McCaffrey or someone like that, where you just know, okay, they're going to feed him down by the goal line. This game, I trust the receivers more than the running backs in this game.
Okay. I'll just go over a couple of things and then we'll wrap it up. Since I brought it up before, 15 yards rushing each by Nacua, Shaheed, and Mims pays 100 to 1. So 10 wins you 1,000 on that if you want to have some fun there. 2 touchdowns by Puka Nacua. And we'll go to the other game. We'll plug in Drake May since you brought him up. $10 is going to win you 3,000 on that.
Oh, nice.
That's fun, right?
Yeah.
If you want to do a bailout ticket and take Ramondre Stevenson, $10 will win you about 1,000 with Puka Nacua. You know what? You might as well throw JSN. That is another guy on with those other 2 guys, just to have some other fun with it. Your two best plays overall then would be Mims Jr. over 2.5 and rushing yards, and Kyren Williams over 13.5 receive yards.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
That's an easy peasy parlay, right? Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And both those guys could be bumped up. Certainly Mims, we would consider bumping up. But yeah, in this game here, I think, to me, Walker, should have a lot of rushing yards in this game. I'm just, wondering that, because he's going to be used a lot more than you would think than normal because Charbonnet's not in there. How much are they bumping up his rushing yards?
85.5 is his total.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That's kind of out of sight. Yeah, so I'll stick with find a line on Helani, to get a catch. Find a line on Barner to get a run, and have some fun with it.
All right, we'll go greedy. Mims 15 yards rushing, Kyron 30 yards receiving. $10 went to 250. So nothing crazy in that regard, but still a nice payout.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wow, 25 to 1.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean, and both those numbers are, relatively low. Like I said, and it's hitting at areas where these other teams, hard to find, especially with 3 good defensive teams going here out of the 4. It's hard to find areas where these teams are vulnerable. And that's why, I look for obscure things like wide receiver rushing yards and running back catching yards and tight ends rushing yards. But it's funny that, and granted, some of these are small sample sizes. I'm not, it's not like, well, every team's had their tight end run the ball against Seattle. No, but those that have, how many times do you see the tight end run the ball, period? Right.
Right.
But, those that have, had some success. And if you're looking at how we attacking Seattle, well, we're not running the ball up the middle against them. So throw that out, throw those 20 plays out. And what are we replacing them with? Well, you know what? We'll throw in a tight end run as one of those 20 plays. Why not? And then the same with the Rams. So I don't know. I mean, Seattle's got a tight end that seems a perfect fit. I mean, if you were going to ask any tight end in the league to run, a crazy reverse play, well, there aren't a whole lot of, tight ends that get to the corner faster than Barner can. So, it just seems to fit.
All right, Dave Delgrande, fabulous as always. So Kyron Williams, receive yards, and Marvin Mims Jr. rush yards, his 2 big locks of the week. And he expects to see a Seattle-New England Super Bowl. All right. Also under Patriots and over Seattle. So those would be his 6 leans overall. Those 2 props he likes the most. Okay. So here we are. We can build some more tickets with you guys. Nephew Dave is going to join in a moment. We're going to knock through the whole slate. Let's see if we have any line movement. As of right now, this is the round robin. I am Stephen Murray. You are on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. Okay, Patriots 3.5, 43.5. Again, that total up 3 points and a full point overnight now. 3 points here in the last 48 hours or so. The Rams, they are 2.5 point underdogs, 45.5. So that total has dropped a full 2 points here over the last day or so. So the Patriots over under on the rise, Rams over under is falling. So those are your 2 big line movements and where we stand. Updated weather for right now, 55% chance of snow, 19 degrees in Denver. So another chance for another snow playoff game today as well. All right. Good morning, Nephew Dave. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Good morning, sir.
How's your weekend going?
It's going.
The Capitals, they survived last night. What happened? I didn't see it.
They ended up losing in overtime almost immediately.
Wow. So they're really struggling right now.
Yeah, it was. They gave up a goal with 30 seconds left, went to overtime, committed a turnover. Connor McDavid goes in by himself on a breakaway, and you can kind of guess what the outcome of a situation like that will be.
Yeah, exactly. Catch Dave and I every Tuesday, 6 o'clock Eastern, here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network for What the Puck is Going On. I feel like we're smart, and when we do that show, we actually come up with tickets or that win or near miss tickets at least. So let's even see what we have for a slate coming up on Tuesday, Dave, because we always have time to kill here on Championship Sunday. We'll get to the 2 NFL games here in a minute.
We have a couple of them today.
Decent games today. We can take a look at these real quick for sure.
One appetizer before your Patriots kick off, so that'll be cool.
We'll rewind to today in a minute. But for Tuesday's slate, our Capitals are at Seattle, late night still. Other good games that night will be interesting matchups, I would say, more so than maybe good games. Kings and Red Wings, that's an interesting matchup. Mammoth and the Panthers is interesting. Stars, Blues, Blackhawks, Wild, Devils and the Jets, Sabres and the Maple Leafs. That actually is turning into a decent game. Predators and Bruins. Monday is a okay slate. 5 games Monday night. Let's see. That's highlighted by the Ducks and the Oilers. And then today, Avalanche at Maple Leafs, Devils at Kraken, Golden Knights at Ottawa, Penguins at the Canucks, Panthers at Blackhawks, Ducks and the Flames. Do you like any of that?
Yeah, that's some interesting stuff. I love the first game we get as an appetizer, so that'll be fun in the lounge.
Avalanche should do
Maple
pretty
Leafs.
good at. You would think they would do good at Tampa Bay here, right?
Yeah,
up some
well,
goals.
you know, they got beat pretty bad by the Flyers at home their last time out.
They've been struggling a little bit. Maybe this is what they needed as a road trip here.
So yeah, maybe the Maple Leafs are in their sights for an angry Colorado team. I don't know. I think Colorado gets back on the right side of things there today.
Toronto getting thumped the other night by Vegas, actually, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then I would lean Avalanche goals on that. Devils and Krakens, I think I would pass on at the end of the day.
Right.
Man,
That's
these Golden
a tough
Knights,
one.
I can't pick the Golden Knights left or right. They are a kryptonite team to me. So I'll have to pass that. You got to look at Penguins, the Penguins and their team goals against Vancouver, because Vancouver's
I'd look
basically an
puck line
auto fade.
too.
Yeah, Vancouver's an auto fade. I think Panthers and Blackhawks is a pass. But I would lean on the Ducks at the Flames, I think. So
Yeah,
Ducks,
I think I would too.
Ducks, Penguins, Avalanche would be your 3-way ticket for me. If you need a hockey play today.
Yeah, I might go ahead and play that just so we have reason to put it on.
Right. As if we needed any reason to bet it.
Right.
All right, Dave. I mean, let's see. I mean, here we are. 2 games left. What are your thoughts going into Championship Sunday? Maybe up about the playoffs, what we've seen, the season as a whole, the Final 4 teams. What might stick out in your mind before we get into the meat of things here?
Oh, well, Steve, you know, as you said, 2 games left. Good matchups, too. I think we're getting a pretty good Final 4 here. Very interesting here for the Patriots today. You know, that quarterback situation for Denver, I think, kind of puts the things in question. That's an interesting one. I'm definitely rooting for you. I can see this being a very close game. That defense for Denver, you know, should be able to kind of keep them in it, is what I'm thinking with the backup quarterback. Patriots, maybe they win by 5 today. The Rams and the Seahawks will get a divisional matchup for a championship game. I don't know. This is going to be a good one here, Steve. I like both of these teams really to get going. I know that Seahawks have that good defense, but the Rams just have some pieces and they're well coached too. So I think these two teams can kind of get going on each other. It's kind of the feel I get out of that one.
All right, I got some nice Patriot futures. I mean, if you've been listening to the show, you should know that. I have New England tied to Indiana to win the national championship. And I don't have New England even to win the Super Bowl, just to win the AFC. So it basically comes down to today. I could hedge and take the points with the Broncos here and try to middle this thing and get a guaranteed payout. And, you know, that's still yet something I may do. They're offering me a nice cash out. Now, this is a good learning lesson for you guys. Basically, the cash out I'm getting for New England and Denver is, for New England to win the AFC and Denver to win the AFC. Right now, the cash out, and I think I have this ticket up here too. Yeah, it's on screen right now. Right now, the payout is $2,700. I did cash out one ticket that made sense because they were paying me an extraordinary amount of money considering what I put down and when I put it down. So I did do that. And the money I cashed out with, I turned into another winner bet. So I feel like I didn't lose out on that cash out deal. So I can win $2,718 on this ticket if the Patriots just simply win. They're offering me $1,500 to cash out now. So a lot of people out there would be tempted to take the cash out at $1,500 and just call it a day and, sacrifice the fact that you didn't win $1,200. Well, that's no fun at the end of the day. You're always going to have that little bit better feeling when you can win. But two, you're not outsmarting the sports book here. You need to outsmart the sports book. And what you need to do is take your money monetarily, and if you want to play it safe and not lose anything and guarantee a profit, you need to do what's called hedging or taking the other side. So where we just need the Patriots to win this futures ticket, we can actually take the Denver Broncos today plus 3.5 at minus 104 as well. So it breaks out to be about even juice, which is great. And if New England wins this game between 1 and 3 points, and if we bet the Broncos plus 3.5, then not only are we going to win the future bet, but we're also going to win this Denver bet as well. The worst thing that can happen is that, well, two things can happen. One's worse than the other. The Patriots can blow out Denver. So if we decided to put, say, 500 on Denver plus 3.5, we're going to be out that 500, and now we're only going to win 2,200 and something. Or Denver wins straight up, and now our Patriot future ticket is dead. But since we were smart and put some money on Denver, we're still going to win $500 and make up for the ticket invested and still making a little bit of profit on the future ticket, if that makes sense. If we get lucky, it falls right in the middle and you have both. The moral of the story is the last thing you want to do is hit a cash out button. You need to go find another book and guarantee yourself. The payout they're saying now, Dave, means that you can basically put $1,200 on Denver at plus 3.5. And if you take the cash out, you're going to get that amount. But if you don't, and you take that same amount and put it on just Denver plus 3.5, now you can either get that cash out amount of $1,500, or you can hit that, or you can hit the middle, both sides of things, and come out with like $4,300. So why would you just take the $1,500 on the cash out when you can at least, at the worst, give yourself a window to win $4,300 on another ticket? So lessons to be learned about cashing out, people. And if you have that kind of thing going on today, and it's always good to have one last game that's going to be a standalone, and to the where you can kind of bet the other side if you have to. Even better if your team's a big favorite. Bigger the favorite your team is, the better of a chance you can to try to hit some sort of a middle at the end of the story. So be creative. Don't necessarily settle for cash out buttons when you're getting to these end of the futures bets. And because we're going to have a lot of things like that coming up with like March Madness, hockey playoffs and stuff. You'll be able to bet the other side. Have some patience. Don't jump on the cash out button too fast. All right. So all that being said, I don't think I want to hedge. I just, Dave, I just can't see it. This is the neutral side of me as well. And everything I've been listening to all week has been Denver, Denver, Denver. Jared Stidham, Jared Stidham, Jared Stidham. It's like he's the second coming of Joe Montana. It's like we're going up against Pat Mahomes today. People, this is the AFC Championship game, and he started 4 games ever. Not to mention he's dealing with a third-string center. He has players hurt. He's going to be missing Franklin. Who knows how healthy Bryant is? Who knows what Dobbins is going to give you? The tight ends who rarely have a chance to catch a ball. I mean, you can just see them dropping a key ball at some point because they just don't get tight end reps from the get-go. We could have snow today, slippery ball. I think this sets up well for New England to absolutely throttle Denver, Dave. I really do. The Patriot defense continues to be underrated. We hype up this Denver defense. But let me go back now. Let me give you guys some numbers here. And it's amazing how on ESPN, the NFL tab is never at the top. You always got to dig for the NFL section a little bit. So let me get to the Broncos. No, I don't want tickets to this stupid game, because these are all important too. Let's see, more sports, NFL. Scores. The Denver defense. Here's what we've done lately. And I need to go all the way back to here. Okay. Trey Lance. Yeah, you hold him in check, you win 19-3, but it's Trey Lance. You play the Kansas City defense. Or Kansas City with their backup quarterback, and that's fine. You hold him to 13 points. The Jaguars, you let them score 34 on you. The Packers were well on their way to 34 until LaFleur pulls one of his fantastic second halves of play calling where he starts to hand the ball off and he calls off the dogs, allows the Denver to come back. But Green Bay got 26 points on them. The Raiders got 17 points on them. That's impressive. Dave, your Commanders, 27 points on Denver. All right, so this is a reasonable stretch here where they've given up a significant amount of points. Earlier in the season, 32 points they gave up to the Giants. They gave up 24 points to the Cowboys, 29 to the Colts. All right, so where their defense is hyped up pretty good, it's not reflecting in the score sheet per se. And the Patriots are going to have enough offense here. Even with that rookie left side line, McDaniels will put May in some sort of a good position, whether that's running the ball, rolling him out. I just think this is a big day. And where the Patriots have kind of stumbled offensively, doesn't that just kind of set them up for having an offensive breakout type of game? Yes, they learned the hard way the first 2 playoff games they played. And maybe they could be in a complete rut, and that may be the case. But isn't there a scenario where they just kind of break things out? get nasty, and to put a full beat down on the Denver defense. And meanwhile, the Denver offense isn't going to be able to respond. I think that's a very, very viable path for this game to take today. So, Dave, I'm going to call for the outright blowout. I'm not going to take any Denver props. If I am, I'm going to bet them under. And I'm going to load up on some Patriot props. So your thoughts on this game initially?
Yeah, Steve. I mean, like I said, it's interesting. I think, the defense is vulnerable, certainly for the Broncos, but, just the AFC Championship, everything on the line. I think maybe they understand that they're going to have to be better, knowing what the offensive personnel is. So we'll see, Steve. I do think the Patriots win and are on the way to the Super Bowl. Whoever they face on the NFC side of things is going to be a very tough task for them. I will say that. So, yeah, I think they do win this game. I do have some Broncos props because if they're going to do anything, they're going to have to kind of try and find these guys. And if they're losing and they're letting it rip anyway, they have to score points, then you can only benefit from that. So I would definitely still look at a couple of Bronco props there. But I'm loaded down, Steve, across all three books today. I made a couple of them here. So I've got some Patriots props, certainly, but I did sprinkle some Denver stuff in there as well.
Oh, you're going to get a great price on the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, whoever they play. I think they're going to be a heavy underdog to either the Rams or Seattle. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that's closer to a 10-point spread than a 3-point spread. I would say it would be Rams minus 7, 7.5, and Seattle would be something like 6.5 or 7, if that's the way it's going to go. I'm telling you, the Denver's a house of horrors here. I get it. It really is. But I think there's enough to overcome that today. All right, so let's look at the numbers. Let's start with passing first. Stidham is 208.5, so he's up a full 10 yards. I love that under. I mean, that is ridiculous. That is actually up from 198.5. Drake May is at 223.5, so that's up 3 yards. Passing touchdowns today. Stidham for 2 is plus 220. 3 is at plus 900. Drake May for 2 is minus 108. Drake May for 3 is plus 360. I know the Patriots score, but I'm just wondering if it's not going to be through the running game, even Drake May's legs, some defense as well. So where I want to take May for a bunch of touchdowns, I'm going to have to hold back on it because I'm going to gear towards the rushing side of things, I believe, with the running backs. Receiving numbers. Let's look at the low hangers. Adam Troutman, 5.5 for Denver. Demario Douglas is at 12.5. Travion Henderson dropped from 5.5 now to 4.5. Now, he's been gone, but, I mean, both of these guys, man, you can't take both of these guys for 25 yards on a ticket by themselves. You know? Henderson for 25 yards. That plus 830. And then let's go ahead and throw in Demario Douglas. 25 yards for him, plus 215. That pays 22-1. Just both those guys for 25 yards. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So good numbers to be had there. I'm going to bust Henderson through the roof. I'll tell you that now. Harvey, 21.5. Austin Hooper, 9.5. Ramondre Stevenson, who's been fantastic in the passing game, 17.5. Marvin Mims Jr., 27.5. Little Jordan Humphrey, just 10.5. Dave making a case for him today. Kayshon Boutte, 31.5. Something tells me Booty's going to have a really good game. Mac Hollins, 24.5. Ingram, 20.5. So plenty of low numbers here. Pat Bryant, 34.5. Hunter Henry, 40.5. Diggs, 44.5. Cortland Sutton, 46.5. So there's all kinds of numbers we can play around with all lines to try to get some nice big payouts. Let's do one more example of that. Again, let's take your little Jordan Humphrey, Dave.
All right.
Let's just take him. Let's say he has a really nice game. He gets 40 yards at plus 630. Let's take Travion Henderson. He has 30 yards at 11-1. And we'll throw in the same to Mario Douglas. Let's throw him in for 40 yards at plus 480. So Humphrey for 40, Henderson for 30, Douglas for 40. $10 pays $3,344. Just for three guys to get almost 40 yards. Henderson, you're going to give him a break to get to 30. So not the worst thing in the world to play something like that today. This is your last chance of football, people, to try to get something like this. And we got to wait till next season, so might as well let it fire. Rushing props. Ramondre Stevenson, 49.5. I like that over. R.J. Harvey, 37.5. Travion Henderson, 33.5. Drake May has dropped now to 29.5. He was in the 30s. I like that over. Jared Stidham, 14.5. Marvin Mims, Dave Del Grande loves this over, 2.5. With the backup quarterback, you got to get a little tricky on some trick plays at times. So Marvin Mims to run the ball at over 2.5 yards. And we get a good alt line on him. Jaleel McLaughlin is at 23.5. The Marvin Mims alternate rush yards, 15 yards for him is plus 410. 10 yards for him is at plus 240. If you want to do a simple ticket of Mims for 15 yards rushing and Henderson, I'm just going to keep using Henderson because he has such a big number to pay out. Henderson, 25 yards receiving. Mims, 15 yards rushing. $10 wins you 526. Just some guys that barely run across your backyard, Dave.
Yeah. I'm gonna play those live too because those are gonna be those numbers are gonna get better at halfway through the first quarter.
Right. Touchdown scorers today. The longer shot guys. Dearness Johnson, 55-1. Maybe if this is a blowout, you might see him. Elijah Moore, 33-1. Bandy, 25-1. Adam Prentice, 25-1. If this is a blowout for New England, play Dearness Johnson in the second half for a touchdown. Efton Chisholm III, 20-1. Tyler Batty, 18-1. Atkins, 14-1. Humphrey, 11-1. Little Jordan, that is. Adam Troutman, 10-1. Kyle Williams plus 950. Austin Hooper, 8-1. Denver defense, 7-1. New England defense, 6-1. Evan Ingram plus 550. DeMario Douglas plus 550. Mims, 5-1. Stidham plus 460. Pat Bryant plus 390. And everyone else gets lower from there. Drake May, 3-1. McLaughlin, 3-1. Sutton plus 260. Henderson plus 260. Diggs plus 220. Your favorites are Stevenson plus 130. R.J. Harvey plus 135. And for 2 touchdowns, good numbers with the 2 touchdown guys all over the place. Ramondre is plus 950. R.J. Harvey plus 950. Hunter Henry 16-1. Henderson 25-1. Drake May 30-1. I played that straight up. I played the New England defense 65-1 straight up. I played DeMario Douglas 55-1 straight up as well. And I played Ramondre Stevenson at plus 950 for 2 touchdowns as well, all straight up today. Hoping just to get one of them. Jared Stidham 50-1. Cortland Sutton 22-1. Okay, Dave, who's your most likely 2-touchdown scorer today.
Oh, two. I think the obvious choice is probably Stevenson. But if we're doing anything else, man, I've had some touchdown bets that all I needed was him, and he hasn't quite gotten there yet. So how about Hunter Henry at 15-1?
All right. Give me 2 players for an anytime touchdown.
All right, 2 players. I like Diggs and Pat Bryant.
Most receiving yards for this game, which is under the receiving category. Most receiving yards. I'm going to take a shot, I think, at Kayshon Boutte at plus 650 for him today. Plus 340 for Sutton. Diggs is plus 390. Henry is 5-1. Mims, he's a game breaker. He's 10-1. Mac Hollins 11-1. Travion Henderson at 150-1 had the most receiving yards. Again, just on a theory that you break a couple of long screen passes. I think it's worth it. You got to put $10 on it to win 1,500, or $5 to win 750, and just hope he gets there. We've hit on that kind of prop earlier on this season with Bijan Robinson. So the running back definitely can be the leading receiver. McCaffrey's done it a few times himself. So we can't forget that. Defensively, I mentioned this with Del Grande. Give me my man. I have interceptions, alt interceptions. I have alt sacks today. Give me my man, Kavion Chason for over 1.75 sacks. Is that plus 580? 2 sacks for him is plus 580. Jared Stidham for 2 picks plus 235. I'm tempted to take him for 3 at plus 640. Defensive player, anytime touchdown. Marcus Jones has been money, 40-1. If we use my man Chason, he is at 75-1 today. Nick Benito, he seems like he'd be a Denver candidate. He's 7-1. Patrick Surtain is 65-1. Carlton Davis, 60-1. Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones have been fantastic ball hawks for the Patriots in their secondary. So a chance for them to score. And Marcus Jones, where's touchdown? Let's see. Let me read more about this. Defensive player, anytime touchdown scorer. If a player listed in the defensive player, anytime touchdown scorer market scores a touchdown on offense or special teams only, then their selection in this market will be settled as a loss. Okay, so no kick return, no punt return, nothing on offense. These have to be a defensive touchdown. Exactly. So some interesting defensive numbers as well, Dave. Anything else I've thrown at you that you like? David?
Do what?
I said any numbers out there I've thrown out that you like, or any other bets you're going to have in this game?
Yeah, I like maybe Douglas. Look at him for the longest, not longest reception, but the most yards.
Right.
You know, you see him catch a couple deep ones. So maybe that's all it takes for him today. But yeah, other than that, Steve, all that sounds pretty good. I like the 2 interceptions for Stidham. That'll find its way in one of these bets as well.
All right. So a bloodbath for me. Let's see, alternate line as well, since we're talking about it. The Pats minus 12.5 or plus 280. The bigger payouts come minus 16.5 plus 430. Minus 19.5 plus 630. And you'll laugh now. Minus 30.5 is at plus 25-1. But if you're laughing, you probably laughed when we said that Indiana was going to beat Oregon by 40-something points. And they that's what they did to cover their 30.5. So big blowouts can happen. All right. Snowy Denver, Dave. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Next game on the board, Rams and Seahawks. Cage match, grudge match, rubber match. Let's see. Can Sam Darnold exercise all the demons of the past and make it to a Super Bowl here? He's already done a good job of getting rid of a lot of them. If he can beat the Rams one more time, that solidifies things. Who gets it done in Seattle, Dave? Who you leaning with in this game?
Man, I like this game. I really do. For some reason, I want to go with the Rams, but it's hard to argue against Seattle at this point in time with what they're doing. Man, can Darnold just can he just show up and play the game he needs to play for them to get by the Rams? You know, we know the Rams defense up front is good, but you know, if you can get behind them, then you can start to do some things. So that's going to be the key point in this game, I think, is if the Rams front line there can get home on Darnold and make it tough for him, make him look average, then I think they have a chance. Steve, I'm gonna stick with my gut, but I think it's going to be close. I think the Rams can go on the road and get it done.
I've been going back and forth with this one, Dave. I think the best bet is the over at the end of the day.
Me too.
And I don't know if it's a full green light because the last time this game was 38-37, we needed some special circumstances to get 35 points or whatever it is in the last 7.5 minutes of that game. You know, a rare event
Right.
is not likely to happen again if these two teams are in the same scenario. So you got to think of it like that. I've been going back and forth. I think I'm leaning Seattle here, mainly because I feel like most of the people are on the Rams. So I'll just take Seattle as the sports book side of things, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I live in a world as well where it's just Stafford and company all day long, and there's a Sam Darnold meltdown, you know, that we've been waiting for all season long for it to finally to happen in the NFC Championship game. We've seen these games again. We've seen them as blowouts. The Eagles killed the Vikings, 3 or 4 years back or so, or whatever it was. I think a little longer than that. You know, won by 40 points. So none of these blowouts can happen. I think this is a good game. 27-24 either way. And I'll lean with Seattle. I'm going to jump on some running back receiving props, receptions. I'm going to target like around 3. I think I'm going to maybe play this game a little more conservative. Hopefully I've won a bunch of money from the Patriots game. And I can just throw one nice touchdown score bet out there with like Puka and Jackson Smith. You know? Something that's an automatic layup, you would think. But besides that,
I did him and Adams.
Yeah. So, and I have Diggs in Nakua. So I have to admit, I haven't, and I've been trying, but I haven't been able to pull the trigger on a lot in this game yet. That will happen as this other game's happening today. Darnold's baseline is 233.5. Stafford is 256.5. I think Darnold goes over that, to be honest. Darnold passing touchdowns. 3 for Darnold's plus 350. I kind of like that. Stafford for 3 touchdowns is at plus 310. Stafford for an interception, minus 146. Actually, he's minus 114. Darnold is minus 146. Rushing props. All right, sorry, the sportsbook navigating me the promos. Rushing props. Kenneth Walker, 82.5. That's a lot for him today. Kyron Williams, 52.5. Blake Corum, 29.5. Darnold, 4.5. Stafford, 0.5. Puka Nacua, 4.5. Rashid Shaheed, 4.5. George Holani, 8.5. It'd be fun to do a Puka Mims rushing ticket, maybe, Dave, for 15 yards each on the all line.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was looking at that. Why not? In two games like there ain't no tomorrow, so pull everything you got out.
In fact, let's just do that real quick. Let's just see what it pays, and we'll popcorn it up to 20 yards as well. So if we do 15 yards for Puka, and we do 15 yards for Mims, then we are getting paid almost 20-1 just for both of those guys to get the 15 yards. Now you can bet them for their straight up baseline too, and cover your bigger bets, your bigger risk bets here. Mims for 20 and Puka for 20. And I don't have the popcorn parlay sounder. Dave, we lost computer number 2 overnight.
Oh, no.
Or over the weekend with the storm or whatever. So I got mobile studio computer out, ready to go without the stream dock. I had to basically just playing the audio back off of window files.
Oh, no sounders.
So, I do have the touchdown sounder on there.
Okay.
And opening and closing music and the interview. I had to fly this morning, so we couldn't put but so much. Let's see. 20 yards by Mims, and then 20 by Puka. Now, 20 is kind of a hard, you'd like to have a couple of rushes by these guys to try to get there. That's 40-1. So, know that you can bounce these numbers up and through the roof a little bit as well. I would bet it for 10 each, 15 each, and to 20 each. Let's see what you come up with at the end of the day. I think it'll be a nice number. Let's see. Shaheed is someone you could maybe put in there as well, considering there's a lack of running attack with no Charbonnet. So maybe now Shaheed becomes more appealing to run the ball. 4.5 for him.
He might get a couple carries.
And there's George Holani, who's been hurt all year. He's available. Just 8.5 for him. It's will they trust him to get into this game? Maybe. You'd hate to have a guy come off cold off the bench all year.
How about Cam Akers?
Is he on the Seattle roster?
Yeah.
Do you have a rushing number for him?
I got a touchdown number. Let's take a quick look at that. I don't think there is a rushing number. There is for Shaheed.
Cam Akers is a former Ram too. I could absolutely see him getting involved in there.
And I took him on a very obscure touchdown ticket. So, just in case. No, I don't have any number on him. I just have a touchdown number.
Yeah, I got him 16-1 for a touchdown. Wow.
16 for any time?
Yeah.
Anytime I have him 30-1.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, you have a much better number.
I'll tell you that bet when we get into the lounge, but I get basically 2 ringers, Akers, and Lil Jordan Humphrey for a big old payout.
All right. Receiving numbers. Some low hangers here. Whittington, 7.5. Arroyo, 6.5. Terrence Ferguson, 14.5. Higbee, 16.5. Kyron Williams, 13.5. Kenneth Walker, 20.5. Parkinson, 25.5. Barner, 25.5. Rashid Shaheed, 21.5. Cup, 30.5. Cup's been getting used a decent amount. Devontae Adams, 49.5. Jackson Smith, 92.5. Puka, 91.5. Defensive numbers. Someone like Jared Verse to record a sack, plus 168. DeMarcus Lawrence, plus 225. Alternate sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence, almost 10-1 for 2. Jared Verse, plus 750 for 2.
Oh, I have 960.
Oh, really? 2 very mobile quarterbacks or immobile quarterbacks. Darnold for 2 picks plus 290. Darnold for 3 plus 880. Stafford for, you can bet players for 2 interceptions as well. Wow. At big numbers. Interesting. I'm going to have to go rewind that. Defensive player touchdown. Let's see. Who's a good one? Leonard Williams, 80-1. Verse, 80-1. Quentin Lake, 65-1. Ernest Jones, 55-1 is the short shot for defensive touchdown scorers. Regular touchdown scorers. Walker is your favorite, minus 145. Plus money, though, on everybody else. Jackson Smith, plus 105. Nakua, plus 125. Devontae, plus 130. Shaheed, plus 380. Parkinson, plus 330. Higbee, 6-1. Terrence Ferguson, plus 650. I like Higbee, that kind of a 6-1, to be honest. Seattle, 7-1. Arroyo, plus 850. Halani, 9-1. Rams defense, plus 950. Whittington, 12-1. Darnold, 12-1. Mupfield, 14-1. Cam Akers, 16-1. I could see a Cam Akers and Higbee combo. $10 wins you $897 on that. Wow. Saubert plus 2,200. Jake Bobo 2,500. Tutu Atwell 25-1. 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker plus 460. Jackson Smith 7-1. Puka 9-1. Devontae plus 950. Kyron Williams plus 950. Barner 18-1. Corum 30-1. Cooper 30-1. Parkinson 33-1. Shaheed 40-1. You know what? I mean, Dave, how do you go wrong on a Puka and Jackson Smith for 2 each? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
46-1. All right, so tell me some other stuff you like here.
Well, let's see. What do I have here? Well, let's go with this little correct score here. 24, the Rams 24, Seahawks 23. You're going to get that at 130-1. You know, it's an interesting little score there. I saw something on that, and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. I think it has a lot to do with these two being in one-score games and whatnot throughout their history. So we're going to play that ticket. Steve, I like the Higbee Barner. I like the tight ends today as well. We're going to get some good numbers on there. Playing receptions mostly here. And then Puka and Barner to score is something that I cashed together. So I like Barner today a lot. I think he can have some success against this Rams team. So I definitely like the passing props in this. The sack numbers look pretty good too. I'm going to have to give those a shot. I could see Stafford throwing an interception against this good defense. I think you get that at a minus 120. So I wouldn't be afraid to sprinkle that in there. So Steve, this is a good game, interesting game. I'm looking forward to this one as well. Give me the Rams by a point and passing galore.
Now, if you're worried about spreads and what team's going to win or whatever, the worst thing in the world wouldn't be to take a team total point over if you like Seattle or the Rams. 23.5 for Seattle, 22.5 for the Rams. I feel like both of those are over numbers.
Absolutely.
So you can play those instead of the spread. And even if you want to bump it up a couple of points to get a small plus payout, then that's a fun way to approach things today. So we give you a lot of good numbers out there, a lot of long shot numbers. Play around with some of the stuff. Travion Henderson for 40 yards receiving and a Cam Akers touchdown. Man, that pays a lot of money. All you got to do is put $2 on it, and that could pay you out $500 or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So mix and match a lot of these guys. This is your last chance, last Sunday to kind of do things with 2 games. Again, I'll go Patriot heavy with my plays. Patriot straight up is a big win for me. So that's my focus on the afternoon. But let's kill them and blow them out, and not be a moron. Let's put more on it, as they said.
Steve, they're definitely listening to the show now. They've called on to us. Cam Akers went from 30 to 28 to 1.
Usually is the case there, David. All right, let's go ahead and I don't know. We like everything as usual. Let's go ahead and queue up. Takes a little extra effort today. Our 2 touchdown score. I thought I put it in the folder here. Okay, stand by.
Johnny. 4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
I gave you 2.5 and a Rick Bell.
It's a jungle out there. You got to look out for number 1, but don't step at number 2.
Utah, give me 2.
And Jimmy 2 times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm going to go get the papers,
All right, Dave. We have 1 Super Bowl Sunday left, and that'll be it for the round robin for this season. Here we are, Championship Sunday. Go ahead and give me each game a short shot and a long shot 2 touchdown score.
All right, each game, let's go Stevenson short shot.
All right.
Long shot, let's go. You know what? Since I've got him today in some receptions, let's go Pat Bryant, 35 to 1.
All right, I'll give you a short shot of. I don't even know if they're short shots. Everyone's paying pretty good. Stevenson, we just used him, so I'll use Drake May at 30 to 1. And Boudet, I think, can have a good game today. I really do. He might be the sneaky X factor. So I'll throw him on the ticket, 33 to 1. And then let's go to the next game. Give me 2 more guys.
All right, let's go. Let's go Nakua short shot. And, to hell with it. Let's go with Barner, 16 to 1.
All right. Kayshon Boutte and Puka Nakua, $10 wins 3,400. Kayshon Boutte and AJ Barner, $10 wins 6,400. I think I'll be on that.
I like it.
Short shot for me. Give me Kenneth Walker plus 460. And I'll take a long shot of, let's see here. Give me Higbee, 100 to 1.
Oh, interesting.
Higbee and Kayshon Boutte. $10 wins you $34,000 today.
I love it.
All right. All right, Dave, your best bets overall?
Let's see. I'll go Let me use. You know what? We'll go with this one here. This is probably the most sensible one for me. We're going to go Demario Douglas, 4 receptions, Hunter Henry, 4 receptions, and Travion Henderson for 2. That was 41-1, but I boosted it up 30%. We are now getting just a little over 53-1 for those 3 guys.
All right. I love the Patriots. I love the Patriots alt line. I look for both the running backs to get into the end zone, Stevenson and Henderson, both of them to be effective in the receiving game, 15 yards minimum each. Hopefully Henderson gets closer to 30. 32 would be great. That would settle a lot of things for me in a nice positive direction. I will also look at Demario Douglas receiving yards over for him. And I'm going to look at Kayshon Boutte for 5 catches is a big payout for him today. And 2 touchdown scores galore. Basically every Patriot I'll take in some sort of a fashion. And then with the defense, give me my man Chason for defensive touchdown scorer today. I think I'm going to take Marcus Jones and Carlton Davis as well. $10 each to get 2 picks. So 60-1 for Jones, 65-1 for Carlton Davis. So I have some Patriot props as well. And then in this other game with Seattle and the Rams, I'll be looking at receptions. I'll take, let's see here. I will take Kyron Williams. 4 catches is at plus 265. Man, he always pains me when I do this with Kyron. Corum just plays so much to really disrupt this. And then Walker the third shouldn't have as many distractions on his end. 4 catches is at plus 154 for him. Probably play the yards receiving for both of those guys as well. Rushing wise, I will take Nacua over his 4.5. I'll also take Mims over his 2.5 actually is his baseline for their rushing yards. And I'll climb those up the ladder as well. All right, Dave, anything else?
No, I like it, man. There's some fun to be had here, so hopefully we're in for some good games.
That's the, guys, that is the point of it, is try to have some fun. I got a couple $100 tickets out there on some free play. If you're a Patriots fan, that's reasonable for sure. let it rip when your team's in the final. But besides that, sprinkle some 10s and some 5s. There's some big numbers out there to be had. And let's see if we all can have a very successful Championship Sunday. Super Bowl in 2 weeks, everybody. Good luck.